Good afternoon, and thank you for joining the Proven Job Management Advanced Scheduling session. We are going to go over a few housekeeping items. The first item is this is being recorded in a Zoom format. This will be available to view again at a later date. We will also be answering any questions at the end of our session. We will be covering the following topics: advanced scheduling and job track. This session is going to cover scheduling work orders, setting predecessors and successors, selecting milestones, and printing schedules. We are also going to talk about job track integration at the same time. This is API key code generation, advanced schedule sync to job track, and completing milestone and scheduling work orders. Now we're going to navigate to Proven Job Management, which you will often hear me abbreviate as PJM. Once we log into PJM successfully, our landing page will be the jobs menu. I'm going to select edit next to the particular job that I want to create an advanced schedule for. We are going to use the Landon Daniel job. Once we have selected the edit button, the system will know that we are now actively working within that particular job because it is now visible in my upper right-hand corner of the screen as a blue hyperlink. This is essentially telling the software that any drop-down selection under the Jobs menu is specific to that job. For example, work orders, financials, and even the scheduler. I'm now going to navigate to my Jobs menu and select work orders. We do realize that some of our clients do not utilize work orders for budgeting, and that is not a problem. However, it is important to be aware that the advanced scheduling feature does work in conjunction with work orders that you have created on your job. Our software is designed to be helpful in populating one default work order at the time of job creation within Proven Job Management. You can use that default work order as a placeholder for scheduling purposes. It is not mandatory to create uniquely defined work orders because the advanced scheduling tool does allow you the ability to schedule the same work order as many times as needed, as long as the work order remains open. For subtrade organization and budgeting purposes, it is highly recommended to create separate work orders that have a uniquely defined number. As you can see, I have created several uniquely defined work orders on my screen. These work orders can be created manually or by importing an estimate via Xactimate or Symbility. Now, today's session is intended to focus on advanced scheduling, but in later sessions this afternoon and tomorrow, Taylor Carmichael will be walking you through understanding work orders and importing estimates. It is also important to be aware that when scheduling, whether using the basic calendar view or the advanced schedule, work orders play a critical role in serving as the bridge to sync scheduled appointments to the Proven Smart Tech Mobile or Contractor Connection job track, which we will talk more about here in a little bit. Once our work orders have been created, we have 3 ways to navigate to our advanced scheduling tool. Within my current work order area, I can hover over the Schedule menu and select Advanced Scheduling. Within the upper Jobs menu, I can select Schedule, and then whenever we go to the schedule, then I can select Advanced, or within the job that you are actively working, there's a Schedule tab. You can click on the Advanced button in here as well. Your current action will define the best and practical way to navigate to the advanced schedule. But since we are currently operating within the work order screen, I'm going to use this schedule menu to navigate to the advanced scheduling tool. Once we are in the advanced schedule module, you will notice that the screen is expanded to allow you to see the entire job schedule. This will help you manage your project better by being able to see the complete timeline. If you want to revert back to the typical interface of PJM with the white borders on the sides, you can select the collapse button and you will return to the original interface. On the left-hand side of the screen, we have our columns that can be sorted and filtered. You can search for specific characters within each white box above, or you can use the arrows to sort by ascending or descending values. You can choose to hide or inactivate certain columns by clicking on the blue button to the left of resources. Here you can select or deselect a checkbox to customize your view. On the right-hand side is our Gantt chart timeline, in which you will see each scheduled work order represented by a green bar. As a user, you do have the ability to control the size of the left and right-hand view in terms of landscape visibility. In the top middle, you have a left and right arrow to expand your view. The middle gray bar down the center does serve as a slider tool as well. So if you want to see more of your overall calendar and less of your details, you can use this slider bar. When we begin adding to our timeline, this project can span over several weeks or months depending on the size of the project. As opposed to using the bottom scroll bar to navigate to the left or the right of your schedule, you can simply double click on the line and it will bring you to the schedule. So let's talk about the timeline of the project. As you are aware, the purpose of the advanced schedule feature is to help you plan by defining how the work is going to be broken down into phases and determining specific work days for your trades. As you can see on your screen, I already have work orders that have been scheduled with a start and end time defined. I'm now going to show you how to add on to this schedule. The steps would also be similar if you were starting a brand new schedule from scratch. Let's click on the blue Add button. Once we click that button, over on our right-hand side are several options to select for scheduling purposes. We first must choose our work order. When I click within the white work order box, only open work orders pre-existing on my selected job will populate in this field. Choose the work order you want to schedule from this list. We are going to schedule work order 0423. Once a work order has been selected, the subject line will auto-populate with the job number, job name, and work order number. You can leave that subject line as is, or you can further define what the scheduled work order is for. In this case, I'm going to enter final walkthrough and payment. Since I am operating within a training demo database, I do not have the ability to link to the Contractor Connection job track atmosphere. However, if this database were integrated with job track as well as exact analysis, I would have the option to select a milestone under the drop-down menu beneath my subject line. The milestone drop-down list is generated from an imported list of Contractor Connection milestones. The benefit of the job track integration is allowing a one-way sync of data from proven job management to pass to Contractor Connection so you can stay in compliance with their job track feature. This would allow you as the user to update both PJM and Contractor Connection job track concurrently, as opposed to operating independently of one another and having to do data entry and project management timeline in two separate softwares. The integration piece between PJM and Contractor Connection is a flat monthly fee of $20. If you are interested in getting this integration, please contact our support team by either calling or emailing support@canmsys.com. Please be aware that this integration is a one-way sync from PJM to Contractor Connection and does not go from Contractor Connection to PJM. Information that syncs from PJM to Contractor Connection are the following: milestones, start and end times, and whether or not the milestone has been completed. Once saved in PJM, this information will be available in Contractor Connection almost immediately. There is no prolonged sync time frame. You can now define the expected start and end time of this scheduled work order. The time range entered in this area is reflective of the amount of time you anticipate for the scheduled work order or milestone to be completed. To help cut down on data entry for timeframes, Within your company settings, you do have the ability to define a default appointment length time. For example, if I expect all scheduled work orders or milestones to generally be 4 hours long, you can define that within your company settings so that when you're in the advanced schedule and you schedule a work order, it will set a 4-hour time frame. If I define a start time of 1 p.m., the end time will automatically populate at 5 p.m. As you can see, my end time automatically populated to 5 p.m. Within your company settings, you also have the ability to define your business days of the week and business hours that can impact your schedule as well. You will also see the traditional options that are available in the regular basic schedule calendar view. You can attach a PDF copy of the work order or opt to send a notification if you're planning on sending this to an assigned attendee. You have the ability to include an attachment within the notification sent to the attendee. The notification drop-down menu allows you to define the notification time for your attendee to be notified of the scheduled work order and milestone. This is essentially acting as a calendar reminder that they have a scheduled appointment drawing near. We're going to schedule a notification that we want them to receive 5 minutes before the start time. If you plan to assign an attendee to this scheduled work order or milestone, you can click in the attendee box and search for the person. There are 4 icons that represent what information pulls on your attendee list. The asterisk is all relationships, companies, contacts, and employees. The briefcase is companies only. The silhouette is contacts only. And the wrench is employees only. If assigning an attendee to an internal employee, whether that is a technician, project manager, etc., those will sync to the proven Smart Tech mobile application under my schedule. As you can see that whenever I clicked create, my work order did not fall into the appropriate timeline. The original completion date for this job was April 30th. But at this point, we see that there could have been a potential where people did not take the weekend into consideration. So what we're going to do is simply click and drag this down to where we would like the final walkthrough and payment to be. It automatically changed my date and my time. Then we will click save. As a best practice, it is recommended to wait and assign any attendees until your schedule has been fully bought out and organized. The reason is if you assign attendees too early and you are dragging, dropping, moving, extending, etc., each time you make a change to the schedule start and end times, the attendees will receive those notifications that the scheduled work order has been revised within that time frame. It is best to create the advanced schedule, modify and organize it, and then assign work orders to the necessary attendees or subtrades. Once attendees or blind carbon copied attendees have been selected, we do have the ability to go ahead and set up our predecessors, successors, and lag time from this right-hand menu. However, I'm going to go ahead and select create so I can add this work order to the advanced schedule, and I will show you how to set up the lag times, predecessors, and successors from our left-hand menu pane. Now, I already clicked create earlier, so I'm going to just go ahead and click save to make sure that it saves our applicable information. Once the scheduled appointment has been created, you will see that the selected work order visual as a green bar in which you can further manipulate and move it around. If we wanted to make the install cabinetry a longer time frame, we would simply push this out and then our orders, our other work orders, would fall in line accordingly. If a predecessor has not been set up for one of them, you can simply move it, or we can select a predecessor. So in that time, if we were to select this cabinetry option and scoot it back, it will then also adjust our work orders accordingly and adjust our timeline. In this training database, I do have my company settings set up for restrict non-work days. So you will notice on the timeline that Saturdays and Sundays have a faint orange highlight to be able to visualize your restricted non-work days. An example for this intended use is if you are scheduling a work order on a Friday with a duration of 4 days. The software will automatically push that out to a 6-day duration because it is considering those 2 weekend days. Now you'll notice on your screen that I have several work orders tied together with a blue timeline. These are my predecessors and successors. This is essentially me organizing my project in such a way that I'm telling the system that interior paint must be completed before carpet. You can set up those predecessors and successors by hovering over the green bar. A blue circle will appear. When you drag the blue line to the corresponding successor, those scheduled work orders will now be considered linked, and modifications to durations and lags will take into consideration all succeeding scheduled work orders and apply the same conditions. For example, I have it noted that we must complete the permit before these 2 items are done. We also must complete wall demo and cabinet demo before those 2 items are done. So the permit must be received before we can do cabinet demo and wall demo. Wall demo and cabinet demo must be complete before we can do a subfloor installation. So since I did not have a predecessor or a successor set up here, I could manually move these items down. For example, we will install the hardwood floors before the baseboards, but we don't necessarily have to install the baseboards before the crown. We could do them in whichever order. For our purposes, to make sure that the entire timeline moves all at once, we will go ahead and link these items together. This now shows that the install hardwood floors must be complete prior to these 3 items. Let's say that you have an expected lag time between your subfloor installation and your hardwood floors. You can click on the subfloor installation and enter in a lag time. We're going to choose 2 days. This will then push out our schedule for 2 days with no other trades scheduled in between. The system knows that because we have a lag time, we then have to scoot the entire schedule out. The system also still takes into consideration the weekend times. Now, if you decide that something does not need to be finished before you start another item, you can simply just delete the linking of those items. Now that we have learned how to create an advanced schedule, move a schedule, assign attendees, send notifications, and several other items, we're going to go over a few features. Over on the far left-hand side, I want to bring your attention to the sequence. This is the sequence in which the scheduled work orders were created and their corresponding logical order. If you notice a scheduled work order should be in a different sequence, you can simply move it up or down by clicking on it and then using the top buttons for work order up or work order down, or you can manually change the sequence number. We also have a blue button to serve as a refresh. If you create a scheduled work order, move a sequence, enter a duration or lag, and you don't see those changes take effect immediately, you can simply force a refresh by selecting that button. If you will notice, whenever I selected refresh, some of my items reorganized. To put them back in chronological order, we can click on the start time and they will go back in order. We also have a magnifying glass option. The magnifying glass buttons with a plus and minus sign will change the visual and timeline of your Gantt chart. The plus sign will zoom in and the minus sign will zoom out. The print button will allow you to print a copy of the advanced schedule for your customer and potentially a vendor if applicable. When I hit the blue print icon, it will open a separate tab. We will see the project timeline for our events when I scroll. We have our listed scheduled work orders, duration, lag, start and end times, subject, the predecessor count that shows us what must happen first before the next appointment can happen, and the assigned attendees. When I scroll down to the bar chart, I will see this one-page landscape view. The dates on the x-axis will modify themselves depending on your timeline to ensure the best visibility for the printed version. You have the ability to dictate what populates on this printed version, and that is where we can change the visibility status. This option will be back in our schedule feature here. If I created a work order for a temp pole, dumpster, or a temporary fence, I want to have those work orders created for financial purposes, but I don't necessarily want them printed on the timeline. That is where the visibility eyeball icons come into play. If we click to the right of visibility, the eyeball icons will show up for us. If we do not want a specific work order to show up, we simply click the eyeball and a slash will go through the icon. When we go to click print, we are going to notice that our cabinet demo does not show up on our printed timeline. Our cabinet demo, which was right here earlier, is now missing. Thank you so much for watching our presentation. We are now going to open the floor for any questions.